Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're back today to talk about the Ranger in the post-patch 1.0 release of Dark and Darker. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. It helps me a ton. And I wish you good luck in your raids to come. We're back in the crypts. We are running Ranger, we are running Cleric, and we are running Slayer Fighter. Eastern. So let's jump right into it. The most obvious change is that the quick shot ability that Rangers have come to be known for has changed. It now scales with the weapon. So what you may be used to is the triple shot on a longbow, which has been head and shoulders above all the other bows for a long time. It is still a viable weapon, but quick shot now only gives you one extra arrow. So at the end of the day, quick shot on longbow gives you 2 shots. Quick shot on recurve gives you 3 shots, and quick shot on survival bow gives you 4 shots. In addition to these changes, the cooldown has been increased by about 10 seconds. What does this mean? So the big problem that everybody complained about with Rangers was being 2-tapped at the start of an engagement with a high-end longbow from a well-geared Ranger, and that there was no counterplay. That problem, I think, has been solved. This was a good change. The game just doesn't feel good when you don't have any counterplay, and getting jumped by that Ranger who you couldn't see from out of nowhere and just instantly dying, it's just not a great game experience, and something had to change. So they changed that. It's a really good change. The other change that we need to talk about for Rangers is the trap.
That's bullshit.
Trap damage has been normalized across all rarities and has been changed to 1 point of damage per second while you're in the trap. I don't know. This seems like an overcompensation. There is now no reason to buy a blue trap. It's literally identical to a gray trap at this point. The cost also, this wasn't in the patch notes, but the cost on gray traps from the Woodsman has been increased from 10 gold to 12 gold. Just a minor change again, but still, like, Ranger's already an expensive class to run. Not really super pumped about that change. They're more expensive and less useful. Does that really impact us, though? No, not really. The reality is the greatest value of the trap has always been the target is going to be stationary and presenting its head to you, and so that simply allows you to, shoot them repeatedly in the head while they fumble with the trap mechanic, which that is unchanged. Also, the combination of you're trapped, now here have a Molotov cocktail, or here's an oil lantern, while you sit in that trap, that is unchanged and still extremely viable and extremely useful. But the last change to the Ranger is kind of unadvertised, as, one line in the patch notes simply said, a rebalancing of weapons and armor. This is substantial. What Iron Mace has done here is they have taken plus weapon damage, plus true physical damage, and plus physical damage off of all armor pieces. Weapon damage can now only roll, I believe, on weapons themselves. And that was our primary stat. A green set of gear with plus weapon damage, 1 or 2, on all the pieces kind of was the meta for the longest amount of time for both Rangers and for Rogues. And that gearing option is now no longer available to us. And what does that mean to us with regard to builds and gearing? I think we're going to be looking for more stats. The Forest Cowl was changed from 1 agility to 1 strength. And I don't know if that's Iron Mace's way of trying to poke us into the direction of building more hybrid agility strength. Certainly strength is a great, fantastic stat after these changes, providing you both, weapon damage and providing you with more hit points, which is great. But regardless, like, weapon damage will no longer be, the meta on Ranger as a result, which is going to open up some more options with regard to how we build. It's important to point out here that we're operating with very minimal gear in these runs, mostly stock gear. Better gear is purchasable through the vendor system now, which is a very good change. Less reliance on perfectly rolled equipment, off the trading post
I'm gonna choose him
is a
essentially.
very healthy change for Dark and Darker. As you guys may recall, I've put out a couple videos where we discuss what is
Don't
really
engage,
the
we just got the
role
raid.
of the trading post. Does it improve the game? Does it make it
On
worse? Does it really allow it as
Right here.
players to play the game from a position of economic warfare over the more skills-based and tactics-based system that we've really come to know from gameplay? And I think this is a really healthy step in the direction of recognizing that uh, you know meta only builds through the trading post, and waging of essentially
Yeah,
economic
gotcha.
warfare is not fun for the vast majority of the player base, the have-nots, as it were. So, the question is, are Rangers still viable?
Another team to the
Absolutely.
south.
They're still incredibly
Grab
strong.
that whole area.
Their mixture of
Joe
play
Dodger.
styles, the guile and trickery, the long-range engagement capabilities, the traps, which is essentially area denial and the creation of space, for the conflict theater. All of those still there. High DPS, high sustained DPS, still very much there. The second question is, how is this really going to impact the selection of bows for Rangers? The longbow is still just
There's the other
the
door
superior weapon.
That's the
Even if you only
enemy
get
south.
2 shots off quick shot, it hits harder, it has less fall off, it has less drop. It is
now.
a
That
better
south door,
weapon.
Ranger,
The
something else.
recurve, though, is getting closer in terms of viability. The triple shot is still a triple shot on the recurve bow. So that's a very valid option for kind of medium range
Clear, just went
engagements,
through
or
to the right.
if you get really proficient with the weapon, you can do some long range stuff. Although you've got to deal with the flight time and the performance of the weapon at longer ranges, suboptimal. The survival bow is still complete garbage. It doesn't have any role for the Ranger. I guess there's still the use
Close the
case that it
door.
may be good on Bard in certain limited circumstances. Having 4 shots with a survival bow that does less damage than 2 shots with the longbow, still just the calculus
Stamina
doesn't
kegs in the
work.
chest.
You've got to be more accurate in landing 4 shots opposed to 2 shots.
No dice.
You do have a slight movement speed advantage with it out, I guess. But once again, the trajectory of the arrows from the survival bow just in and of itself make it an invalid option. So I think we're down to two weapon choices, and it's really barely a choice. You're still looking at the recurve bow and the longbow as the only 2 viable ranged weapons for Ranger. I think crossbow still has a niche in there, but it's really dependent on you landing the opening shot, and if you do not, then you're probably going to lose. Spear had its top-end damage reduced significantly, much like all weapons in the last patch, but Spear is still my personal favorite. I have not experimented significantly with the Arming Sword, which is my second favorite choice behind Spear. But my gut tells me that Spear is still going to win out after one night of playing and multiple runs. The Spear is still the best way to go. With the vendor changes they made to the marketplace, vendor selection is considerably more robust, and you're going to have an option to purchase a Spear off that vendor in multiple rarities much more frequently. So, the kind of playstyle where we would hoard a bunch of, Spears as backups because, concerns of not being able to acquire one quickly and go back into the dungeons, I think that's kind of gone. You don't certainly have to hoard as many backups as you did in the past, which is a good change across the board. There is a named Spear that you can now craft, with a number of collectibles that you can get out of the dungeon. I don't know what's up with the stats. The one that's available to me to craft has particularly poor rolls on it. I don't know if those rolls are dynamic, if they're going to be updated at some interval, daily, monthly, weekly. I don't know, but right now I would never go through the hassle of collecting the materials to build that, particularly when it requires an epic Spear as one of its components. Overall, the Ranger is still performing very strongly. You can see here a little Molotov action. Still a great item.
Oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah,
it
so our
got
comp we've
wrecked.
been running here is a support cleric, a DPS warrior, and obviously a DPS ranger.
That
It
Molotov
was very
roast those
successful
guys.
in our low gear runs last night, and I imagine it's going to
Yeah, that
just
was
get
brutal.
better with
Warlock shit
gear
coming.
scaling. At least that's what I anticipate right now. Also, it's important to understand that they've substantially changed map generation. If you did not read for detail on the patch notes, maps are now kind of dynamically generated, including both variants from the high roller crypts and the kind of normal crypts. They have increased the size of the dungeon. They have decreased the number of players in the dungeon. And
We are
they
super
have
short on
created a new circle phase that is providing additional portal spawns and essentially more
Something,
time
motherfucker?
to
What?
navigate
Where'd you come from, motherfucker?
across
You've
the
got a
storm
green
to
something, another
get
on
to
in
your
here, too.
extraction points. All of this feels
Got
really
one
good
exit
so
here.
far. This is just my preliminary take after one
Oh, boys,
evening
this
of
does not
play.
look good.
I think there were a lot of
Ranger.
doomists out there saying that the Ranger would be unviable after these changes. That's
Portal
simply
area.
not true. Particularly with the increase in like
Portal.
warlock activity
I got an
and
exit
the
over here.
increase in wizards out there.
Exit down over here,
Ranger
too.
still does very
I'll take it
good
down, you take
into
the exit.
those
I'm taking
party
the exit.
compositions.
Oh, there's another
In
exit.
closing, I do want to warn everyone that there is currently a bug. If you attempt to extract down in through a
Guys,
red
right on
portal
you,
to
this
go to
guy's right
level
on you.
2,
Nice.
there is a really good chance that you're going to become disconnected,
Those guys
and
are
all of your
dead.
progress from
Get
that match,
fucked.
either way, will be reset.
Y'all don't have a lot of time. You better hurry.
So go down at your own peril. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. It helps me a ton. And I wish you good luck in your raids to come.
Oh no!
Enjoy hell by yourself there, Ranger boy.